Whoa, what's going on, guys? YouTube Live, Sunday morning, as promised. I want to discuss a couple things with you guys before I get into, open it up for the Ask Me Anything stuff. But I want to talk about first YouTube censorship. So if you guys aren't aware, Google and YouTube, Google owns YouTube, and lately we've had, if we haven't had already a crackdown on alternative media already, lately it's gotten even worse. So Luke Rudkowski at the We Are Change, he owns the We Are Change brand. He's actually had almost all of his YouTube videos demonetized all at once. It's over 600 of them. So, that's a huge income of his. It's a huge income source for a lot of YouTubers is monetization from their videos. So Luke Rudkowski had all of his videos demonetized. Some other YouTubers, I've heard stories of people getting their channels completely swiped, and even in terms of my channel, luckily it's somewhat smaller of a channel, as opposed to Luke Rudkowski. He's got some 400,000 followers. David Seaman has 150,000. I've only got about 30,000. So luckily, for me, my voice isn't quite as loud yet, but I'm honestly surprised that they haven't done more to my channel than they have because of, the kinds of truths I speak as compared to all the other ones. But, on one hand, maybe it's just, keyword yet, exactly. On one hand, maybe I'm just so fringe and that could help me in some regards because that's why they don't pay as close attention to me. But, as things grow and as the censorship keeps going on, I'm sure that'll happen. And, what has been happening to me is, and this is really weird, is my videos will get demonetized instantly, right when I put them up, which has never really happened before. Usually in the past, if I put a video on a real touchy topic, whether it's like Seth Rich or Pedogate or something like that, the video will get a few thousand views while it's still monetized, and then they'll hit me with that, it's like a little yellow circle. I wish I could show you guys, but it's like a little yellow request review, not advertiser friendly, and then they demonetize it. But that usually happens around after a few thousand views come through, maybe a little later on. But now, like the last video I did, I know I haven't done a video in a couple days, but the one I threw up on the 9th, it was demonetized instantly. So I know, that's just an analytics thing I can tell, it's that artificial intelligence, being able to tell what I talk. But in terms of like Luke Rudkowski, they're actually watching him. They specifically had somebody go in there and demonetize all of his stuff. So the censorship is going to keep increasing. I'm going to do my best. I'm still going to do YouTube, obviously, but I'm going to create a newsletter on my website so I can stay in direct contact with anybody who signs up for that. And then maybe, I have a VidMe account. I haven't posted anything on it. I might try that. There's definitely some other avenues I'm going to try. Yes, I definitely have plans for other platforms. Maybe, I'm going to continue doing YouTube. Right now, all they're doing is demonetizing, so obviously I just won't be able to focus on YouTube ads as a source of income, which, it's not a massive amount, but it does help, it definitely helps pay some of the bills. So what I'm just, doing things to build out the financial support side of things so I don't have to focus and worry about YouTube monetization and whatnot. Then, if I don't monetize my YouTube videos, I don't have to waste like 5 seconds of your precious time before each video. But that's the thing, I don't know about the next best place. A lot of people have said VidMe, I'm going to try that. Steemit, I am working on getting a Steemit account. It's just been, difficult, but working on that. So I'll definitely let you guys know about whatever I decide to do. And when I put up the newsletter on my website, I'll let you guys know, and you can sign up for that, and you'll get daily newsletters from me, daily rants just sent right to your email, so you can stay up to date through that. Gab, yeah, I'll check out Gab, Peacock boy. Another channel like YouTube was coming out. I hope, there's a lot of different kind of social media platforms that are that are there, but the difficulty is just finding one that has the ease and viewership that YouTube does. So I mean, it's unfortunate when Google, it's money talks, right? It's all the powers that be have done this. They've made their system to where they have the money, they have the power, so they can censor as they want. It's pretty difficult. But anyway, there's that. I also want to talk about the conference coming up. MySpace. The conference I have coming up. So the Eclipse of Disclosure conference I will be at in about 5 days, few days, down in Mount Shasta, California. A lot of cool people are going to be there. Dr. Michael Sala, Corey Good, Bentinho Mazzaro. I'm stoked to be able to meet him. Who else is going to be there? There's a few other names. Laura Eisenhower, she'll be there. So a lot of great people. And that's one reason I haven't been doing quite as many videos the past few days, is that I've just been preparing for that. You know, I won't really be able to get, I'll do my best to get a, you know, news update in with the whiteboard and whatnot before that. Yes, I will be in Shasta on the 21st for the eclipse. Stoked about that. Ironically, if I actually stayed home here near Seattle, I'd have a better view of the eclipse than being in Shasta, but hey, might as well go hang out with a bunch of wonderful, like-minded people. I look exhausted. Well, that's because it's 9:30 on Sunday. 9:30 in the morning, and there's some weird lighting in here. Not exhausted at all, actually. Antarctica conference. It's not a conference on Antarctica. It's called the Eclipse of Disclosure, so really it's going to be about everything. Everybody's going to be there with whatever I decide. Eclipse. Ooh, an Electric Universe conference would be awesome. But yeah, so this Eclipse of Disclosure conference is just going to be about everything, and it's cool because I get about a small slot every day, just a half-hour introduction to the speakers, and do my own mini presentations with that half hour. So I might actually see if I can just live stream it, you know? Usually conferences don't allow recording of the presenters unless it's what could you say? It's allowed by the presenter, you know? If they say, you know, you can record this, they'll let it be. Because usually people want to take their presentations and like sell it, but I'm probably just going to go YouTube live during the presentations and you know, just let it out there. So we'll see what I come up with. And then what else with this conference? Yeah, I won't really be able to do I just won't be home with my whiteboard, you know? I don't have a portable one yet, but so it'll be difficult for me to get the news updates in, and I've just been busy preparing for the conference and the travels, busy. I have my son with me right now. He's living with me, so it's just been pretty busy. So sorry I haven't gotten to do as many videos as I want, but if you do, I will do just Q&A vids. So if you guys have any questions you want me to answer, comment them down below. You can email them to me. I'll put my email in the description of this live vid. And then you can YouTube message them to me as well. But if you want a question answered in a video, shoot it. Because those I can do on the road. Those are pretty easy to do. And I don't need a whiteboard for any of those. So there's those things. And yeah, so I just want to talk about that. The YouTube censorship, the conference that I'll be going to. So I'll open it up, you know, for anybody that has questions, go ahead and send them my way. Son, not a daughter, son. He's 4. So I will definitely inform you guys when I discover a good alternative to YouTube, definitely. What do I think of the Charlotte protest? That's, you know, might as well just do some news in these live updates, right? Maybe I'll just do that on the road. I'll have my computer up in front of me and then, you know, go through the news live. But maybe I'll get like a screen. How would you guys, you know, maybe I'll try that one of these days. Instead of doing my news updates with a whiteboard behind me and pre-recorded, maybe I'll just do it live with a TV screen behind me, and I'll hook my computer up to the TV monitor so you can see like what news articles I'm looking at. Maybe that'll be fun. But anyway, Charlotte protest. I would not doubt if that car that was run into those protesters yesterday was owned by George Soros. I would not surprise me. That was a nice black Challenger. Did you notice that? So if it was some kind of contractor or mercenary, false flag, exactly. Like everybody there, a lot of people protesting there were probably doing so because they want change, obviously. And I don't blame them for doing that. You know, the corporate media, they were trying to paint them as being a bunch of neo-Nazi KKK fascists, but when I was looking at the pictures, it was more so anarchy groups than KKKs and Nazis. I didn't see any Nazis in the crowd, and it was pretty blatant that the corporate media was just trying to paint them as being a bunch of alt-rightists and KKKs, but they just look, most of them just look like they were people hungry for change. Now, of course, there were most likely counter-protesters, or I don't want to say counter-protesters, but paid provocateurs in the crowd, okay? And those are usually the ones that are affiliated with the contractors or the globalist groups, right? We have paid provocateurs in there to create the violence. Yep, all the violence in the protests is funded by Soros. You gotta have faith in humanity. When you look at protests, people are protesting there for change, and they don't want violence. 99% of people that go to protest don't want violence. But the thing is, the people that want violence in these crowds are trying to do so to stir up controversy and make it look bad. And usually those groups are paid provocateurs and whatnot, funded by Soros and the other people. But, you know, yeah, that's like someone commented, that's a nice car for a 20-year-old to have. And that was done purposefully. So, yeah, so I think it was registered to some 20-year-old kid named James Field or something like that, I saw. But when it comes to those protests, I think a lot of people were there out of the good of their hearts, and there was some paid people to stir up some shit, and that's what happened. Has the smoke settled in Washington? We had a cold front come in. It's actually raining right now, which I'm really happy for, because hopefully it'll be raining up in BC, and the smoke should clear out. So there's that. Yeah, Robert David Steele says all these attacks are government elite. That's how it's always been, right? I mean, Robert David Steele's a really smart dude, and he connects the dots well. A lot of these protests are trying to stir up divide and conquer. That's it, right? Just that's the divide and conquer strategy. The elites try to divide us with any way they can, whether it's race, which is what they're doing right now, blaming these protests as being KKK. They've always done it. They've done it for thousands of years with religion. They're doing it with science. They're trying to divide the pseudoscientists with conspiracy theorists. Try to divide that. So it's always the divide and conquer strategy. When you just got to realize, if you transcend that, if you realize that they're just trying to divide us, there's only one truth, right? That's it. And it's the one absolute truth. All we have is our own little perspectives, our own relative truths to see that with. Then everything else fades away, right? You begin to realize, well, all religion has some truth in it. All, right? There's a lot of science out there that's... Oh yeah, the Health Ranger. I forgot. He was one of the ones that was censored by Facebook, I believe, actually, or YouTube. So... And it's funny, I saw somebody mention that I need to, where was it? Guard my website. Wilcox's site was hacked. Check this out. I actually have a picture. So my website was up for like a week, right? I already had, I don't know if you can see that. You can't really see it. 168 blocked malicious login attempts on my website. So yes, it'll definitely be guarded. That's priority number one. So there's that. And then, hi Brazil, how are you? Yes, absolutely. The dark has definitely lost its support. And that's the big old spiritual lesson, right? A lot of people are waking up to the truth. They're accepting the truth. And then key point is that they're acting. They're acting against the powers that be, and that's what turns the wheel of karma. That's what helps us, you could say, use magic. instead of using dark magic, we're using light magic for our own positive benefit against the powers that be. So that's the way I see it. Yeah, I'm not even going to comment on flat earth stuff. Sorry. And then, so I hope Archetypal Existence asks, love your work, but I'm curious as your opinion on Ramsar's clear Luciferian ideology. So they're talking about Roger Richards and his, basically the disinformation campaigns. You know, they're all saying he's connected to Satanism and all this jazz, but that's blatant BS. I know Roger very well. He's Corey Good's business partner. He's not connected to Satanism. He's fully tatted up with the sigils of Lucifer. He is. But if you listen to, he put out like an 1.5-hour life story bio on him on his Facebook page, and he was in heavy metal bands when he was younger. Heavy metal has always not used the best symbolism. So yeah, we all do dumb things when we're younger, but you know, he's changed from that now. I have a tattoo on myself. Satanism is not Luciferianism. Okay, that's, you know. Now some people are saying the elite are using Treasury direct accounts to divide and conquer people. So, you know, these Treasury direct accounts and what's going on with Heather Tucci Giraffe in DC, it's a big story. And I don't think it's purposely being used to divide and conquer, but of course the elite, any chance they get when something begins to rise up, then they can use that as a divide and conquer strategy, right? So I think this is blowing up, and then they're trying to co-opt it for themselves. It's usually what happens. So great question here. So a woman is 7.5 months pregnant and about to refuse a Tdap vaccine on her next doctor visit. So props to you. Definitely wish you luck. She asked, did I vaccinate my son? I did not. No, he has never had a vaccine in my care. And what challenges did I face? They weren't necessarily challenges. They were, I remember one doctor I tried to go to, he straight up refused me because I didn't want to vaccinate, you know, because these doctors, if they have a certain quota, say 90 to 95% of all the kids in their practice vaccinated, they'll get huge handouts from insurance companies. So this doctor, being ignorant, didn't want to accept me. Cool, whatever, I'll go find another one. I went to another doctor. He accepted me, even though I didn't want to vaccinate, but literally I went into the pediatrician's office and I counted like 7 or 8 pieces of posters, propaganda posters on the wall of all vaccine propaganda. So the biggest thing is stay centered. Stay centered when you go in. Understand that doctors are humans and many of them are ignorant, and they'll espouse any fear-based propaganda or fear-based BS against you as they can to get you to vaccinate, but it's simply because they don't understand. So just, you know, just say, I understand, but I'm not going to vaccinate, right? Don't get into it. Just stand your ground and don't let them scare you or push you into doing anything that you don't need to do. So that's what I have to say about that. But props for not vaccinating. Many doctors are absolutely programmed. And if you think about it, you know, doctors are the most programmed. Doctors and scientists, right? The most programmed. They have the biggest egos. So when you go to, for instance, a health authority or maybe even a physicist, right, who's looking at like 0-point energy from the context of the standard model of physics that they were talking about, right? Doctors are practicing. I always love that. It's called a practice. So say you have a health doctor or a physicist who was ingrained with the conventional way of thinking. They went to school for 8 to 12 years, spent, what, $100,000 on their degree. Their ego is going to be so caught up within the system, they are literally the least likely person to change their mind in favor of truths that go against what they've been taught, right? So a lot of people go, oh, the doctor says this and this and this, and I asked the doctor about these pieces of information that I heard, and they didn't change their mind, and you think they would because they're so smart, but they're not going to, okay? Understand that. People who've paid that amount of money and spent that much of their life learning that vaccines are safe, or learning that time travel or 0-point energy isn't possible, they're not going to change their minds. So that's when, you take the scientists that have changed their mind, like all of the, anybody that's anti-vaccine started out anti-vaccine. So these doctors that became anti-vaccine proponents or vaccine safety proponents, they were never that from the start. They changed their minds, so props to all the scientists who can break free from that mental programming. Doctors definitely have a superiority complex. And good question here. What are my thoughts on Stephen Greer at the moment? And I'll be completely honest. Dr. Stephen Greer and his Disclosure Project was like the first thing that blew my mind. I remember I was live streaming his release of the Sirius documentary on Earth Day in 2013. So I had been, researching his stuff for a long time. And I love what he's done. It's very professional. He's got hundreds of whistleblowers testify for him. He has done amazing work. But the only question I have is that when somebody is saying they're for disclosure, in my opinion, disclosure means every single thing there is. Disclosure not only means anti-gravity and the black projects and, of course, 0-point free energy, but it also means disclosure on, for instance, the deaths of all these holistic doctors. It means anti-vaccine research, cancer research, right? Hidden cures. It means pedogate. It means disclosures about human trafficking and pedophilia infecting our political and government sphere, right? So when I see somebody that puts disclosure as something, that means everything. Understand that Stephen Greer is only one aspect of that. And, right, if somebody, the more they talk about everything, the more I am believing them. That's why I try to discuss everything I come across, right? Here's pedogate disclosures, here's this and this and this. The only question I have for Greer is I would like him to address his connections with Podesta in that group. So that's about it. Other than that, he's done amazing work. Let's see. What other questions? YouTube channel, Truth Stream Media. I think I've come across them. I can't quite remember. In this in this age with the internet and how much at least I sift through information, I can't remember like half the authors or channel names or websites, but I come across a lot of stuff. So, Chester from Lincoln Park is Podesta's son. I've heard about that. I've seen the pictures. They definitely look similar. Wouldn't be surprised if it was the case, but of course, a lot of people just like to take information and then put it down as fact these days. I advise you to be careful about doing that, right? I've been reading Walter Russell lately, and he does a lot of work in describing the difference between sensing and knowing. Knowing is a very difficult thing to come across. A lot of people think they know stuff and have absolute proof for it when they don't, okay? We can come very close, like I said, to knowing the absolute truth, but we're never going to. And that's a crucial spiritual understanding. But they definitely look similar, and it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. So, and there's, of course, a lot of weird things going on surrounding not only Chester Bennington's death, but Chris Cornell's as well, and some interesting connections I've seen there. So, there's that. Yeah, Corey Good's recent update talks about pedogate and how special forces are ramping up on these pedophiles. Yes, it does. I invite you to check out Dr. Michael Sala's website, Exopolitics, because he did a great write-up on that. But again, it's not something we know. It's not something we can absolutely verify. We have this testimony, which we will take in, and we will, wait for it, because only time will tell, right? only pieces of information will begin coming out to let us know if this is actually going on. But again, you know, looking at the state of the world and everything else going on, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some spec ops rounding up some cabal perps right now. That wouldn't be the case. Or I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case per se. Have I ever tried DMT or experienced ego death another way? No, I've never done EMT. I've done medicinal mushrooms only a handful of times, and they were amazing experiences. You know, good pineal scrubbing experiences. But I am of the opinion that we should strive for our own endogenous production of DMT. So you should get yourself healthy, get your brain working, and meditate a bunch, right? It's always through the use of, or depending on this physical reality to stimulate our own spiritual reality, I think is not a very good thing. I'm not totally against it, but I think the main goal should be to do it yourself. And when it comes to talking about ego death, I don't like to call it that. Me personally. I don't like to call it ego death because the thumbnail did me dirty. You like that thumbnail? Because the ego is a tool, right? It's just a tool. It's a tool you can use to harm yourself. It's a tool you can use to help yourself. I don't think a lot of people understand that. In that, you know, there's always like, kill the ego, kill the ego, kill the ego, which you should kill the ego that is self-serving and wants to harm you, okay? But the ego gives us that idea of self-identity. It's what we use to understand this physical 3D reality with. So if you use your ego to basically sense the world more, and it can be used to strengthen you. So, you know, just be careful with what your ego is telling your higher self, or what it's obfuscating from you. You know, maybe you could say it that way. I must try ayahuasca. I do want to, because I know, you know, it's all about using it for spiritual growth, and that's what ayahuasca is used for by the indigenous cultures in Brazil. You know, they use it for ritualistic process, which I've been reading some Dr. Robert Moore lately, and he discusses how rituals have been basically taken out of our soul growth these days, right? So it's using these things as a initiation process to take young people or people who are immature and mature up their minds real quick. Is my thumbnail a Jimmy Savile picture? I didn't know that. That was just me giving the camera the eye. Let's see. Is there any updates or new info on the hole that we saw at Mount Shasta? So James Gilliland texted me, and he said it changed a little bit. I don't know personally, but I'm gonna hopefully try to get up to ECETI in a few weeks here, and I'll check it out myself, and I'll post some pictures for you guys. But it was pretty weird, man. Let me tell you, it was definitely looked odd. I'm not gonna say it was like a doorway for sure because I was 13 miles away from the mountain, but then again, there were some weird shadows associated with that thing. So do I agree with Cobra that you can't time travel backwards? I don't know. But I can tell you what I feel, right? I can't ever tell you what I know. I can just tell you what I feel from all the information I've come across. I feel like it's possible, but I don't feel like it's safe. I think it's very dangerous because I've heard that if you go back in time and alter anything, the universe has kind of a self-corrective mechanism where when you get back to the current timeline, things will begin to happen to correct what you did. So say, for instance, you go back in time or you go to a different timeline and harm somebody or basically take them out of existence, then come back to this timeline that they exist in, the universe will have a corrective mechanism to get rid of that person. Or say you go back in time, kill someone's father, you come back to this timeline, that person will get hit by a car within a couple days, or something weird will happen to correct everything. So I just don't think it's safe. I wouldn't, if it can be thought, then it's possible. There you go. The universe is just a thought wave, as Walter Russell would call it. And we are only individual thought waves. So if it can be thought, it can happen. What are my thoughts on the solar eclipse with relation to optimal timeline and spiritual development? I'm gonna save that one. Hold on. Can I screenshot? Ah! There you go. I'm gonna make that a video question. Let's see what else we got here. I'll do this for about another 10, 15 minutes. MMS. Where can you buy it? I believe you can only buy it through international websites if you live in America. So MMS is the Miracle Mineral Supplement, or it's the chlorine dioxide, so it's called. I've done a video on it. One man that's in my state is actually in jail right now for selling it. He was in Spokane. His name's Daniel Smith. You can look into him. He was put in jail by the FDA for selling the stuff. But for now, I think there's some websites that come out of like Canada or Australia that you can buy it from. I'll see if I can take a look for it for a link, and I'll post it down below. Spokane represent. Spokompton. Spokanistan. What can I cover the philosophy of why taxation is theft? Simply because you didn't agree to it. That's pretty much it, I've been thinking of this concept a lot lately, and that concept is no victim, no crime. And this kind of ties into the idea of the straw man accounts and, the difference between what's lawful and what's legal and all that jazz. But basically, it all comes down to contracts. And long conversation. I don't want to get into it in this live video, but taxation is theft because you didn't agree to it. It's basically it. You never signed a piece of paper. You never did anything. You were born into this country by chance, so it was not your choice to begin paying taxes or whatever taxes they're have placed upon you or whatnot. So 85% of people are prison for victimless crimes. Yeah, exactly. I threw out like the 95% number this morning, but something like that. It's all victimless. How do we escape taxation? Dude, that's a tough one. That's when it comes down to unity, right? This whole idea of unity. If we were all to come together at the same time, or enough people were to, and say, not show up to work at their shitty corporate jobs, or not pay, right? What is MMS? Somebody asked. Go look into a video that I released about 2 months ago describing MMS. It's a fantastic internal purifier. That's all I'll say. Dude, this YouTube live eats up my battery. Hold up. Bam. Thoughts on Chris Chester, Pizzagate? I just said that about 15 minutes ago. You might have showed up a little late. Do you think the upcoming solar eclipse will expose the global elite? No, because it's not up to an eclipse to do that. It's up to us to do that. I think it will be a crucial turning point in the exposing of the elite, but I think it's just going to simply be the start of a new cycle, and this new cycle is going to be more chaotic, but thus lead to more change than the previous ones. What are Pleiadians? Are they ready to help humanity? So, great question. Pleiadians are a group of extraterrestrials from the Pleiades, right? Profound right there. But what I've heard is that they are actually ready to help humanity, and I'll go a step further, they have been helping humanity. Now, due to the laws of free will and all that jazz, they can't openly show themselves and whatnot, but maybe you're getting downloads in your dreams. Maybe they're, influencing you. The spooky action at a distance, is it's been called in science terms, but Maybe they're... This thing's kind of distracting when all these questions pop up and I'm trying to talk. But, Connor, for sure. But, you know, the Pleiadians, potato, they've been helping us. And there's a lot of other star systems that are helping us right now. What I've been told, actually, is that the Pleiadians, they're very loving. And they're actually some of the most high vibratory beings there are. But they tend to be kind of naive. They let that lovingness kind of get to them, and then they try to love so much that they love naively and love groups that end up turning on them. So there's other groups like the Orions where they're a lot more basically, they call the shit out when it needs to be called out, and they understand that concept is that sometimes like force or aggression is necessary because the dark, you have to essentially get rid of the dark forces in a very tough way sometimes. That's the best way I can describe that. I don't know. It's early. My brain's not working. Have I tried any experiments with pyramid power or orgone generators? Where's my little pyramid? Is it in here? I just have them around. I have like little pyramid shapes. But I haven't done any large experiments with them, no. Am I vegan? That would be a good question to answer in a video. Why not? I'll do that. Yeah. I would say I'm like 70% vegan. Most days I don't really eat that much meat, or any meat per se, any animal products. Some days I do. It depends on what I do that day or my activity level, like around that time frame. But there's a lot more that goes into that. Don't let yourself get triggered by that answer quite yet. I'll answer that in another video. The whole vegan meat debate is a very deep one that a lot of people just stay at the surface level in answering. How am I doing? I'm doing well. How are you, Jane? Yeah. Let's see. More questions. Do this for another about 5 minutes. If I was vegan, you would know. That's hilarious. You must become one with the Force. Am I coming back to Contact in the Desert? Yeah. I hope to go back next year. Contact in the Desert conference in maybe Joshua Tree. I heard they might have it somewhere else next year. I don't know. But yeah, definitely. This was kind of my first year in making the cycles, being able to go to different conferences, going to Contact in the Desert, spoke at the ESETI conference at Gilliland's Ranch, James Gilliland's Ranch this year, went to MUFON, and I'll be speaking at the Eclipse of Disclosure conference in a few days here. So I got to 4 of them, this year. Next year, I'm already planning on presenting at one of them and hopefully going to a couple others. So do I have any alien contacts? Not physically. I don't know about in my dream state. Maybe they, download some stuff into me at night and then Men in Black mind swipe me before I wake up in the morning. Who knows? Let's see. Tesla or Einstein? You know the answer to that one, man. I don't even have to get into that. No such thing as Pleiadians or any other ETs. They are demons. The fallen ones, don't be deceived. I don't know who might be answering this question, but it's a great thing I want to touch on. I think the whole idea of all aliens being demons thing is like, it's this meme or this you could say, I think it's a idea being put out by the powers that be. It's like a last-ditch effort to get people believing some like disinformation campaigns. I think it's kind of part of a disinformation campaign, that thought, because there are definitely positive ETs out there. There's definitely negative ones. There's both, right? To think that all ETs are good or all ETs are bad or demons, I think is very, it's not doing your due diligence and critical thinking. So there's that. You shouldn't believe in aliens unless you showed me hard evidence. Open your eyes. That's about it. Demons equals aliens, angels equals aliens. Exactly. Basically it. Exactly. There's good and bad ETs in all races. It's that cosmic law, if we're going to talk about Hermetic philosophy right now, of the law of polarization. There's always a good and a bad, right? Good and bad is required to make consciousness. That's it. If you never had the negative side of things, or the dark, or whatever you call it, you'd never have good. You wouldn't have consciousness, period, because you'd have nothing to gauge anything else off of. Duality, exactly. So you can't expect duality to stop at the end of our atmosphere, right? I wouldn't say, so someone said, I got to get better at like reading the questions that I answer in this. Someone said religion is a big disinformation campaign. I would say religion is a big misinformation campaign, because I do believe that there were a lot of spiritual masters that came to us over the past few thousand years, many of them, to try to help lift humanity up. But their words were misconstrued by the powers that be. And that's when the religious institutions and the dogma grew out of that and were able to misinform us, right? For instance, one of the first lines of the Bible is, in the beginning there was the Word. Unfortunately, dogmatic institutionalized religion makes people think very shallowly and scares them into thinking, almost guilts them. If you look at it literally, people just think, oh, word, like the word of the Bible, right? Like these words that I'm reading on this page right now. But if you expand your mind a little bit, you'll think, oh, in the beginning there was the Word. What is the Word? The word's a vibration, right? That's what speaking is. It's a vibratory pattern. What makes up this universe? Vibration, right? So in the beginning there was simply vibration. That's all that is. That's all there would be. So you just have to think of scriptures with a little deeper, a little more esoteric of an understanding, and then you can find the answers there. Half-truth thinking, exactly. I had a question. What do you get when you put dark energy and dark matter in a big bong theory? One big black hole. It's not even a question. Thought it was going to be, but that's funny. Let's see, I'll answer a couple more here. Telepathy is absolutely possible. And I don't know about you guys, but have you been having some crazy synchronicity in your life lately? Literally over the past 2 days, dude, the synchronicity in just small things. Like I was watching Rick and Morty the other night, and at the end of the show, he was whistling a song, right? And I can't think of the song right now. It's early. But anyway, I was in a restaurant yesterday, and that exact song came over the speakers. And it was crazy. And yeah, synchronicity is just everywhere with everything the past like few days. It's crazy. So telepathy definitely is real. It's simply just accessing, it's basically connecting your brain with the etheric field. Let's see. A few more questions here. Purpose of pyramids. Yes, they were power plants, spiritual healing centers. The pyramids, I think, had a lot of specifics associated with them. So they helped energize, at least they're conducers of etheric energy, right? You look at the word pyramid, it translates into pyro-mid. Pyro being fire, mid being middle. So it means fire in the middle. So in the middle of specific geometric shapes, if you line them up, you can do it with a cone, right? You can do it with a cone, you can do it with a pyramid, but if it's specifically arranged in a geometric pattern, those geometrics associated with the, sacred geometries with certain ratios, it will work very well at basically harboring the source field energy or harmonizing it per se. So that's why all the time you'll find rivers running under pyramids, because under the pyramid, since it concentrates source field energy, it will basically cohere the water. And we all know that water is basically the bridge between the physical and spiritual world. Look at Dr. Emoto's studies and all that jazz. But the pyramid would help cohere the water, so that's how they were able to grow a crap ton of crops in the middle of Egypt, is because they, did that with their water. They always find that people in pyramids, when you put people or any life form, even plants in pyramids, they'll grow stronger. It'll harmonize our DNA, cohere it. So structure water. That's the word I wanted. Dude, I can't do these live streams right when I wake up anymore. My brain is just seeing orbs in real time. What is this? Spirit appeared like a firefly into a green orb. Yeah, my first experience with orbs was at, James Gilliland's ESETI conference. That was a massive transformative experience for me this summer, and props to James Gilliland for having me there. Amazing place. But not only did I see the orbs through the night vision, they had the infrared in the field, and I saw the orbs in the infrared, but I saw them, naked eye in the sky. And orbs are, you could just say, spiritual thought forms, right? Could be other beings, could be just little energy packets that are flying around, could be extraterrestrial craft that are materializing, not fully materialized in this realm, but partly materialized, and could be all that. So, what's my opinion on flat Earth? I don't waste my time, to be honest. And this is a big, I just think it's a psychological operation. It's a damn good one, but it gets a lot of very well-meaning people, in my opinion. If civil war breaks out, what do you think are the odds military would side with the people? So yeah, this is the last one I'm going to do here. I'm going to get off. I got some stuff to do today. Do some videos for you guys. Actually, I'll take a lot of these questions and probably just put them into different videos. But anyway, in regards to, all this strife going on in this country, all the craziness, do I think the military would side with the people? Absolutely. You got to have faith in the good of humanity, right? If 99.9999% of people were asked to shoot a gun into a crowd, they're not going to do it. They're going to say, what the hell are you telling me to do this for? So don't worry about martial law. Don't worry about FEMA camps. This is one of the big things that screwed my brain up 3 years ago when I was still a little more spiritually immature. I was so scared. I remember sitting there, I was like about to go into the gym one day watching these YouTube videos. I'm like, oh my God, Obama's gonna come get us all in the FEMA camps and all that, but that's not gonna happen. And a few years on after that, I understand what's going on a little bit more now, is that's not gonna happen. There are good people in the military and in the police forces that are waking up. There's still some bad ones, definitely, but people are waking up as to what the military has been used for and the realities associated with it. So, no, I think most people in the military are good and they want change. And there are, you could say an alliance or alliances that are formed in the upper echelons of the military that are working to take out the infiltration of the dark forces in government, politics, military, corporations, etc., etc. So, do I like Joe Rogan? Yeah, I like Joe Rogan, but I don't really listen to him all that much, and I think he ridicules some things that shouldn't be ridiculed quite as much. I'll just talk about flat Earth for a sec, and then I'm gonna go, and it's literally just gonna be for a second. Think of it this way, right? To understand 0-point energy requires 3 dimensions. Requires a torus, requires vortex motion, right? So if you get people to think that the Earth is flat, they're going to end their thinking there, right? They're going to stop their thinking in 2 dimensions when we really need to be thinking in 3 dimensions, if not 4 or 5. So, yeah, but then it's not a flat Earth, right? Then you can't call it flat Earth if it's, if you're talking about, like, different realms of yada yada. Gravity is a theory. It's never been proven. I can prove let me not prove gravity. I'm going to prove the force of compression right here. That's it. True that gravity's been totally like misconstrued in our heads, and what we need to understand is everything's electric, but as Walter Russell said, there is a female electricity, the force of creation, which is gravity, otherwise known as, and there's a male electricity, which is the force of destruction, or radiation, as it's also called. So gravity and radiation are simply two opposites, and they are basically just two different energies or two different kinds of electricity. Gravity is not some totally separate force as anything else. It's just a different manifestation of it. So that's what I'd say about that. So, whoa. Don't want to knock that over. All right, dudes. I'm going to jet. I got some stuff to do. This was a 50-minute one. These things are fun to do, man. I'll do a couple of them. I'll do another live video actually later in the week, probably on Wednesday or Thursday. I'll probably do it when I get to Shasta. And enable Super Chat. All right. I will do my best to enable Super Chat. I'll look into that. Actually, yes, I will. So I'll do another video later this week. I'll do some more pre-recorded, throw some YouTube videos up this week. If you have any questions, tell them down below. And I'll do my best to get the news updates in. But, take care, guys. Take care. Stop.